Season 16 of Gold Rush started like any other season, with machines roaring to life and crews preparing for another long season in the Yukon. At first glance, everything seemed normal. The sun rose over the caps, Parker's and Tony's teams were ready for a new day of mining, and the cameras captured the usual scenes of hard work, sweat, and determination. But as the days passed, things began to feel different. There was a strange tension in the air, one that viewers never saw on TV. Something unusual was happening behind the scenes, something that went far beyond the normal struggles of finding gold. It started subtly. The machines worked longer than expected, sometimes running deep into the night. Crew members grew exhausted, but they couldn't explain why. And then the black SUVs started showing up. These were not the regular production vehicles. They were unmarked, mysterious, and appeared without warning. Nobody knew who they were or why they had come. Crew members whispered among themselves, trying to figure out the reason for their sudden appearance. Some thought they were government agents. Others guessed they were from the mining board or private investigators. But no one had a clear answer. The real shock came when the meters started acting strangely. Parker and Tony, both experienced miners, noticed spikes in readings at the same spot, readings that no one had ever seen before. Normal gold readings hover between 40 and 50. That day, the meter shot up to 190. Such a number is almost impossible in gold mining, even in the richest deposits. At first, the crew thought the machines were malfunctioning, but when the readings continued, fluctuating between 170 and 190, it became clear that something extraordinary was happening below the ground. Excitement mixed with fear. The camera crews tried to capture everything, but then the production team suddenly arrived. Orders were given to stop recording. Cameras were shut down, and crew members were told to stay away. No reason was provided. It was unusual. In a show like Gold Rush, every high reading is an opportunity for dramatic footage, but this time it was treated as a secret. Crew members were confused. Something significant was happening, but they had no way of knowing what. That night, Freddie Dodge was called to the site. Usually, his arrival is a well-documented moment, shown on camera with introductions and narration. But this time, everything was different. He arrived quietly, without any fanfare, at 11:45 p.m., holding a thick, sealed report. He went directly to the restricted area. His face was tense. Crew members exchanged worried glances. Freddie's sudden arrival, combined with the abnormal readings and the black SUVs, created an atmosphere of fear and suspicion that none of the crew had ever experienced before. The reading spike had made everyone uneasy, and the arrival of unmarked SUVs only added to the mystery. 4 men in black suits and no identification appeared at the site. They moved quickly, purposefully, and without speaking. Cameras were turned off as they approached the high reading spot, carrying heavy cases marked fragile. The crew was left watching from a distance, unable to interfere. It was clear that these men knew exactly where they were going and what they were looking for. By morning, half the drone footage from the previous night was missing. Production called it a technical glitch, but the crew knew better. It had been deleted deliberately. The missing footage covered the hours when the SUVs were on site and Freddie Dodge was present. Crew members began whispering among themselves. They speculated about what could possibly be so important that production would hide it from the audience. Some thought it was gold, others guessed it could be an old structure, or maybe even a hidden vault buried beneath the soil for decades. As the days went on, tension on the site increased. Parker and Tony, normally rivals who rarely spoke privately, were quietly taken to the high reading spot, with only a few geologists and a production assistant. The rest of the crew watched from a distance, wondering what had made the 2 miners so serious. Parker held depth charts, and Tony kept checking the same spot repeatedly. Their faces, usually confident, were pale and tense. Crew members speculated that they had discovered something beyond gold, something that changed the entire story of Season 16. Later, the drill was lowered to the high reading spot. Which should have been a standard operation quickly turned into a shocking moment. The drill barely penetrated 6 feet before it hit something solid. The metallic clang echoed through the site. Ground vibrations were noticeable, and the drill operator said it was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Bedrock isn't usually that hard. The crew knew immediately that something unnatural was beneath the surface. Yet, as they were about to investigate further, production ordered the drilling to stop. Everyone stepped back. No explanation was given. The restricted zone became a place of intense secrecy. Wooden crates appeared inside a large blue tarp, their contents completely unknown. Crew members were strictly instructed not to approach, not to film, and to keep their phones away. Only 4 people were allowed inside: Parker, Freddie Dodge, and 2 engineers. From outside, crew members could hear faint metallic sounds and low voices, but the conversation was indistinguishable. One thud after another suggested heavy objects inside the crates. It was clear that what was hidden wasn't gold. The following morning, drilling resumed briefly, but every step was closely monitored. Depth scans indicated a hollow metallic pocket beneath the ground. The readings suggested a human-made structure, unlike anything naturally formed. Crew members were stunned. If it wasn't gold, what could it be? Some speculated it might be an abandoned vault, old machinery, or even a historical artifact buried long ago. No official explanation was provided. The show continued as if nothing unusual had happened, but those involved knew the truth was far stranger than what viewers saw on TV. Even the arrival of government inspectors later that day added to the mystery. They appeared in plain clothes, ID badges visible, but no uniforms, and immediately went to the restricted area. Portable scanners confirmed what the crew already suspected. The metallic readings were off the charts. One inspector quietly said, "This is beyond mining protocol." The envelope they handed to production staff marked a turning point. From that moment, every movement at the site was strictly monitored, and communication was tightly controlled. In the following days, the atmosphere remained tense. Machines were run under careful supervision. Crew members whispered about the mysterious crates, the high readings, and the sudden arrival of unmarked vehicles. The footage shown on television was carefully edited, concealing the true events. Fans were unaware of what actually occurred. Leaks from anonymous sources revealed depth charts and metallic density readings that confirmed suspicions. The cavity beneath the surface appeared engineered, measuring approximately 6 meters long and 4 meters wide. Social media discussions exploded. Some theorized it was an ancient vault, others thought it might be abandoned equipment, but the density readings suggested something far more unusual. Parker and Tony, once fierce rivals, had to work together to understand the situation. Even though cameras rarely captured them in private together, the high readings forced collaboration. Crew members noticed their serious expressions and unusual silence. It was unlike anything seen in previous seasons. The entire site felt like a military operation rather than a gold mining camp. Every step, every action, and every sound was measured. The suspense built over weeks, creating a storyline of tension, secrecy, and danger that had never been part of Gold Rush before. By the time the season concluded, the truth remained partially hidden. The high readings, the restricted zone, the mysterious crates, and the unusual behavior of production left more questions than answers. The world saw edited clips and safe footage, while the most significant events remained unseen. Crew members still whispered about what could be beneath the surface. Even experts couldn't explain the unusually high metallic density or the engineered shape of the cavity. Fans were left speculating, and online forums filled with theories ranging from gold to ancient vaults to historical artifacts buried for centuries. Season 16 of Gold Rush was no longer just about mining gold. It was about a hidden secret that changed the entire dynamic of the show. The readings, the mysterious visitors, the deleted footage, and the unusual precautions all pointed to something far greater than anyone expected. The story behind the cameras was darker, more dangerous, and far more mysterious than the television audience ever realized. The events of that season revealed a side of gold mining that went beyond money and competition. It became a tale of secrecy, mystery, and a discovery that was intentionally hidden from the world. After the initial shock of the high readings, the crew's nerves were frayed. Normally, miners and camera crews are used to long hours, cold nights, and the constant hum of machinery. But this was different. There was an edge to every movement, a carefulness that had never been seen before. Even the loudest voices were hushed, and casual jokes were replaced with tense whispers. Some crew members admitted later that they didn't sleep at all that night. Every sound, every shadow under the blue tarp made them flinch. The presence of the black SUVs, the mysterious crates, and Freddie Dodge's serious demeanor added to the fear. It felt like the camp had turned into a secured zone rather than a mining site. The drills continued cautiously. Every attempt to probe the high reading spot produced metallic clangs that echoed unnaturally. Engineers checked depth charts repeatedly, and every reading confirmed what the crew feared. Something solid, unnatural, and man-made lay just below the surface. The shape of the cavity was near perfect, 6 meters long, 4 meters wide, and solid enough to disturb even industrial-grade machinery. Geologists privately confirmed that nothing naturally formed in the area could explain the readings. Crew members began to whisper about hidden vaults, old mining equipment, or even military artifacts buried long ago. No one dared speak too loudly. Production was strict about secrecy, instructing everyone to keep phones away, cameras down, and questions to themselves. By the second night, the sense of urgency had grown. Production had restricted access to the area almost completely. Only Parker, Freddie Dodge, and 2 engineers were allowed near the restricted zone. Even Tony, who normally had free access, was kept at a distance until a carefully controlled meeting. The meeting was brief but intense. Parker and Tony studied the depth charts, mapping every layer of soil, gravel, and metal density. They compared the readings, and even though they were competitors, both recognized the enormity of the discovery. Crew members outside whispered about what could be causing such an unprecedented response from the meters. The metallic readings continued to fluctuate wildly. One moment the meter would spike to 190, then drop to 170, then back up again. Crew members noticed vibrations under the ground that didn't feel like normal mining activity. The drill hitting the object produced sounds that resonated as if striking a metal chamber, not rock. Every attempt to analyze the site was met with new surprises. The more they drilled, the clearer it became. Whatever was beneath the ground was solid, engineered, and likely far older than the current operations. Production's behavior only increased the mystery. Drones flying overhead were restricted, and footage from previous nights had been deleted. The crew suspected that the missing footage held critical evidence of what had been found. Some crew members even claimed to have seen shadows moving beneath the tarps when no one was supposed to be there. 4 men in black suits continued to appear at odd hours, inspecting the crates and depth readings. Crew members were instructed to keep their distance and to never question the activities. The tension was palpable, and many admitted that they were genuinely scared. The following morning, the drill attempted to reach deeper, but every foot of progress produced new challenges. The metallic density was not uniform. It suggested the presence of a complex structure below, with hollow areas and solid walls. Crew members speculated that it could be an old vault, a storage chamber, or something historical. The excitement of discovery was mixed with fear. Engineers cautioned that any misstep could damage the equipment or the mysterious object itself. Crew members moved carefully, their eyes scanning the shadows, every sound amplified in the quiet night. Meanwhile, Parker and Tony were seen collaborating more closely than ever before. Usually, their rivalry prevents any real cooperation, but the discovery forced them to put differences aside. They exchanged notes, checked readings, and re-examined depth charts together. Crew members outside watched with a mixture of awe and unease. This was a moment never captured on television, a quiet, tense collaboration that spoke volumes about the gravity of what had been found. The cameras captured the usual gold rush footage, but nothing of the real events was broadcast. By the third night, the crates inside the blue tarp were fully examined, but only by Parker, Freddie, and the engineers. Crew members could hear faint metallic clanging and muffled discussions, but no one was allowed close enough to see. Parker's voice could occasionally be heard, calm but serious. We need to make sure we understand what's below before moving forward. Tony's voice was quieter, tense, and uncertain, unusual for someone usually outspoken. Crew members realized that both miners were genuinely concerned. For the first time, it wasn't about gold. It was about something much larger, something beyond their experience. Drone footage captured movement around the restricted area. Shadows shifted, machinery was quietly moved, and the SUVs remained parked, watching. Crew members admitted they had never experienced such control, such secrecy. Production behaved more like a security force than a filming team. Any questions asked were met with strict warnings. Phones were confiscated in some cases. Crew members were warned that recording anything could jeopardize the entire operation. Even those used to high-stress mining environments said they had never seen anything like this. As drilling continued over the next days, every new reading reinforced the suspicion. This was not just gold. The hollow metallic pocket, the engineered shape, and the density numbers suggested a structure deliberately placed beneath the surface. Crew members speculated endlessly. Could it be an old mining vault? Military storage site? Something historical? Even the most experienced geologists admitted that the readings were unusual and could not be explained by natural formations. Tensions remained high. The crew worked cautiously, aware that any mistake could trigger a dangerous incident. Equipment was monitored constantly. Parker and Tony, though normally rivals, were fully invested in understanding the object. Discussions between the two were quiet but serious. Crew members reported seeing them huddled together, pointing at charts, comparing readings, and making careful plans. For the first time, their rivalry took a back seat to the urgency of the discovery. Production continued to enforce strict rules. No unauthorized personnel could approach the restricted zone. Drones were limited. Footage from key moments had been deleted. Crew members whispered about what could possibly justify such secrecy. Some guessed it was gold so pure that revealing it would cause legal and safety issues. Others speculated it was something entirely different, something hidden for decades, possibly an engineered structure left by humans long ago. The mystery grew with each passing day. By the fourth night, the operation felt more like a controlled experiment than a mining expedition. Every movement was calculated. Every reading was double-checked. Crew members remained on edge. The metallic pocket remained a source of tension. The mysterious crates had not been opened publicly. Even Freddie Dodge, an experienced expert in mining, expressed concern and caution. Crew members admitted later that his demeanor alone was enough to make everyone realize the discovery was extraordinary. The secrecy continued to the point where crew members were unsure whether what they were witnessing was legal. Production's actions, the deleted footage, and the restricted access suggested that there was more at stake than gold. Crew members realized that Season 16 of Gold Rush was no longer about the gold itself. It was about a hidden secret, a metallic pocket beneath the surface, crates of unknown contents, and unprecedented secrecy. Crew members, production, and experts all played a role in maintaining the mystery. Even fans who watched the show were given a highly edited version showing only what production wanted. The truth remained hidden, leaving viewers unaware of the extraordinary events that occurred. Machinery, every shift of shadows under the blue tarp, drew attention. Crew members said they could hear faint thumps and metallic rattles, sounds that made them freeze in place. Even the experienced miners whispered that they had never encountered such tension on any other site in Gold Rush history. Meanwhile, Parker and Tony continued to operate in a private zone within the restricted area. The rest of the crew watched them from a distance, noticing that both men were unusually serious, their usual competitiveness replaced with cautious cooperation. Depth charts were spread out, readings were constantly rechecked, and drilling results were scrutinized over and over. Every spike in metallic density caused a new wave of discussion, and yet, no one outside the restricted zone was allowed to hear or see these conversations. The secrecy was palpable. Crew members admitted that for the first time in years, even the veteran miners felt powerless, like they were only spectators to a discovery far beyond their understanding. As drilling reached deeper levels, the mysterious object beneath the surface became increasingly apparent. Metallic clanging echoed every time the drill touched a solid surface. Each sound reverberated through the ground, and the vibrations were strong enough to make some crew members step back in alarm. Engineers tried to determine the composition of the object based on the drill feedback and the unusual density readings, but the results were inconclusive. Geologists confirmed that the shapes were unnatural, suggesting either a human-made vault, an industrial artifact, or something that had been intentionally buried decades ago. Crew members speculated endlessly, but no one received a clear answer. Production's behavior grew even stranger. Cameras were limited to wide-angle shots only, and any close-up recording near the restricted zone was prohibited. Drones were flown at higher altitudes, and footage from previous nights continued to be mysteriously deleted. Crew members were warned repeatedly, do not discuss, do not film, do not speculate. Phones were confiscated in some cases, and whispers about the mysterious SUVs, the crates, and Freddie Dodge's emergency involvement spread among the crew. Some began to wonder if the object below was so sensitive that even accidental footage could cause serious consequences. On the fourth night, something unprecedented happened. One of the senior engineers noticed a subtle vibration beneath the restricted area. Unlike previous vibrations, this one felt deliberate, almost like the underground object was shifting slightly. Crew members outside noticed Parker and Tony's faces pale as they compared readings. Both men exchanged glances that were normally reserved for moments of extreme danger. Even Freddie Dodge, who had seen almost everything in mining, appeared unsettled. Crew members reported that his usual calm demeanor was replaced with a rare urgency. This was not ordinary gold, and everyone realized it. The mysterious crates were still at the center of attention. While no one was allowed close enough to see inside, the sounds coming from them, metallic thuds, shifting weights, suggested a complexity beyond